Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world. You're listening tonight to a live version of the Exceptional Conservative Show. I am your host, the Exceptional One, MCCLENTON. This is part of our Independence Liberty Weeks. Yes, there's lots of people who are becoming independent. And coming up on July the 7th, next month, in preparation for Freedom Fest. I'm telling you, this is going to be like a month and a half of just freedom and liberty, independence. Coming up, we're going to do a special show, July the 7th, actually July the 6th. I have to see that, but sorry, I messed that one up. There you go. No, I was right. No, it's July the 6th. Wednesday, July the 6th, we're going to do a special show to help people get out of debt. It will be a financial independence day, a declaration of financial independence. So just stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so glad you're with us tonight. Mary Brockwood in our chat room. Love you, Mary. Smooches and moi. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican and then the Socialists. Lots of stuff that's happening. I will be broadcasting for Freedom Fest. Yes, I will be. So this is it's going to be huge. The whole month is just going to be huge. We're sending out prayers for Dan and his family. Dan and Jane will not be able to be with us at Freedom Fest. We will miss them. We will hold them to our bosom in prayer and strengthen them, Lord God, as only you can. Ladies and gentlemen, get that off there. Ladies and gentlemen, there has been much going on in my life in the past week. Unfortunately, last night we could not do a show. We could not do the Exceptional Conservative Show. We couldn't. Although we're not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Socialists. We couldn't do a show. And it was an internet connectivity that was the problem, and we have resolved that just about an hour before we went on the air tonight. So I want to thank the good people at the utility company that handles. Yeah, internet is now a utility. Who would have known? You want to control people's voices, control what they voice upon, whatever the vessel is. And then when we come back from this particular segment of our program, you know what we do at this hour. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I want to tell you some of the things that have been going on. I want to make a public announcement so that everybody knows exactly where I am and where I'm going from here. And also, we're going to take a look tonight at Crooked Hillary. Take your hats off, gentlemen. Put your right hand over your heart. You know what time it is. It is time for us to pledge allegiance to the United States of America, and we will allow the children to lead us. Lead on, children, lead on.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Yay! And Some of you all will be watching this from live stream. Mrs. Biggs is watching from live stream, Ustream. She back in from her cruise. I am so glad to see her. And I tell you, she is the hole that keeps the boat arise. Dave Milner's in the chat roll tonight. Glad to see you, sir. He is also known as Agador, better known as the Unpleasant Blind Guy. We'll be playing a clip by him in a few. Mrs. Biggs is watching via Ustream live stream. All things are working well. I am very pleased with all of that. And I'm looking for a napkin. I'm going to get me a napkin so I can put my water on. Because normally condensation begins to kick in about midway through the show, and then you begin to see water just spilling all over the place. So we'll work on that right there. So, bam, there we go. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, my wife had a wonderful cruise. She was completely excited. Dave was telling me to bow. I'd bow. It might have been because last night's show was a replay, but it got a very substantial audience. So I'm just crediting that to all of our new advertisers and people who are tuning in now more voraciously around the world and listening. So thank you very much. Oh man, thank you. I was bowing respect. Oh, you were bowing in respect. Oh, I bowed back to thee. Oh, great respect. My wife had a wonderful time on the cruise. She was wearing her dogs. And for those who are following along at home, you can easily click on the USA Dogs. We'll play the clip underneath. You'll see it underneath the chat room at the exceptionalconservativeshow.com broadcast central area. You can either get them through Amazon or you can get them directly through USA Dogs. But she loved her dogs. I mean, she loved her dogs. And you can click on at the very top of the page, Mrs. Biggs Mall. The shoe that she ordered, that she primarily wanted advertised. Not that she calls the shots or anything. I call the shots and then I run them through her. But when she wanted to advertise that particular shoe on Mrs. Biggs' Mall page, she loves that shoe. It is just an incredible. It gave her comfort. It gave her air, and it was soft and at the same time rugged enough to take on the things that were going on. So she had a wonderful time, and we want to thank USA Dogs, and I want to thank the director of the affiliate program with USA Dogs. Thank you for your encouragement today, your letter of appreciation, and we look forward to a long and lasting relationship with USA Dogs as well. I had to greet my wife with some unkind words. No, not my own. She's used to those. We went to dinner, and I had to explain to my wife that I had been released from my ministerial duties after some 15 years, almost 15 years, at the church in which I worshiped, attended, ministered at. And it was an abrupt change of request and duly acceptable on all parties. So I am no longer a quote-unquote elder or pastor or minister at that particular church in which I attended. I want you all to know something, because it's very important to my audience. I did nothing immoral. I did nothing immoral in order to be released. So if you're looking for something to come up in the Washington Post, because you know that my name is out there and some people gun for me, they're looking for any particular crack that they could break open. And, so be it. But I want you all to know that Christ remained the center of my joy throughout the entire ordeal. And I had to tell my wife that when she got off the cruise, because I don't keep those kind of things from her. And I'm very sorry that I ended her cruise with such bad news. I want you all to know that when I came home, I received at the door a letter. And at the door, the letter came from Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network Incorporated. Y'all got that right there? Everybody who's watching via Ustream, you're getting that live. Those who'll be watching via live stream, getting that. Okay, right there. Okay. So there you go. I'm a member of that. They've given me honorary membership, and I really appreciate that. Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network. In the letter was their request to advertise on the Exceptional Conservative Show. So what some may have meant for evil, God made good of it. So I'm just going to let you all know that the Exceptional Conservative Show will be my full-time ministry and endeavor until such time as God calls me away from it. And I will be using variant tools that you'll see on our front page with a very many number of advertisers, which I hope that you behest and support. I know Mary has. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate that. And I know Dave has, and so many others around the country who listen. White Mamba, glad to have you here. But it is essential in our day and time that you not be silenced. God has given you a gift, a talent, a word to speak. He has allowed you to be the mirror of conscience to the world. It is not easy, I suppose, for someone to vote for someone on Tuesday who believes in breaking up the very skull of a 6-week-old baby in the womb and vacuuming out its parts, or at least harvesting those parts to sell to others. And then on Wednesday night Bible study, praising the Lord for the life that He's given us. And then on Sunday, worshiping at the altar, listening to a word come from someone who supports someone who kills babies in the pulpit. I am not the easiest man to deal with. Trust me, my wife will tell you I am not the easiest man to deal with. But I refuse to have my values, my morals, my beliefs, my political, if they are ambitions, which I don't have any, or my pastoral ambitions, which I don't have any. Everybody who wants to hear me on Sunday mornings can hear me. Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. with an American Conservative exploration of the inspired Word of God. And hundreds of thousands of people do from around the country, and I assure you that's probably larger than most churches can hold here in America. So it's not your throne, your pulpit. I don't want any of that. This is what I want, and then we're going to take a quick break because I need to pay some bills. This is what I truly want. I want to go to a church, if I am to assemble, that is a free state church. Y'all understand me? A free state church. That means that your church cannot be a 501c3. For the scriptures clearly state that you cannot serve two masters. One you will love and hate the other, or you will hate the one and love the other. You can't serve two masters. You can't preach to me on Sunday morning life and more abundantly, and on Tuesday vote for somebody who like it, take it away. You can't preach to me that you have free will and may freely express the word of God, and on Tuesday, vote someone in who wants to take away your ability to even profess the gospels. And in the District of Columbia tonight, we've learned under secret vote, apparently, because I didn't know anything about it, the city council has basically stated that you have to say the transgender's pronoun right or the name right or whatever. If you don't, you're going to get fined. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe in a Jesus who so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, not for the sons of God to proclaim rulership over the other children of God, nor to subject them to the intolerable consideration of speak one thing and do another. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't preach the gospel of Jesus on Sunday and live the gospel of Hillary the rest of the week. It's inconceivable and incompatible. And the best thing that most churches can do, and this is my cry out to urban churches tonight. The best thing you can do is throw out every single one of your good, moral, conservative members. Throw them in the street. Get them out of your church. They are a mirror to your soul. They are a reminder of how deep the breath is between you and the God you say you serve. Throw them out. There's always a remnant. There's always going to be one who stands up by the grace and mercy of God and say, you know what? For him I live, for him I die. I feel uncomfortable with this religiosity. You know, 3 small songs that we do, 2 fast, 1 slow to get you emotionally projected upon. And that, my friends, is part of the problem. In urban America, there's a propensity to provoke emotion rather than to subsist in logos or logic or reason, which are all pointing back to God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. You will never, as a pastor in an urban American experience, ever be satisfied if 90% of the people in your city vote Democrat. 1 or 2 things has taken place. 1, you have become corrupted. Or 2, you were never corrupted at all. It's a tough road to hoe. But someone has to be a mirror of conscience. Someone has to stand up and say, the last time around Gilgal is the last time around. I'm going into my promised land. Now, I just want everyone to know that I'm appreciative of all the years that I spent with everybody in the assembly, every single person in the assembly, and I'm just blessed and highly favored amongst men and God to have had the opportunity to worship in that place. But I assure you, the next place that I worship, it will not be perfect, but it will pursue the perfecter with all of its heart, with all of its mind, with all of its soul, and with all of its strength. Not for the good of those who come and sit, but for the good of those who come and go and speak the gospel to all the world. We'll be right back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. Crooked Hillary's at it again, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, at it again. This is what she said earlier today.
Al Capone.
We have no Mr. Capone. We have no Mr. Capone.
I said,
Something you want to hear?
My friend was killed today.
I don't care.
Hey, now he does. Come on, Capone. You want to fight? You want to fight you and me right here? That's it. Come on. What's the matter? You afraid to come out from behind your men? You afraid to stand up for yourself?
You want to do it now? You want to
Yeah.
go mad now?
Come on, you pimp son of a bitch.
What? Easy.
You talk to me like that in front of my son, fuck you and your family. I hate you.
It's me. Not this one. Not this one. You fuck, you got nothing. You got a lot of talking to say. You hear? Because you got nothing. You got nothing in court. You don't got the bookkeeper. You got nothing. Nothing. And if you were a man, you would have done it now. You don't got a thing. You punk.
You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. I am your host, the Exceptional One, MCCLENTON. We have a new advertiser as seen on television. Thank you so much for joining us.
They're gorgeous. This is awesome. Amazing. I love the color.
What if I told you perfectly polished nails were just a spray away? Hi, I'm Taylor Baldwin, and you're going to fall in love with this. It's Spray Perfect, the spray-on nail polish that gives you perfect polished salon-looking nails without stressing the details. Look, Spray Perfect gives you all-over gorgeous color in seconds for the world's fastest manicure. And don't stress the mess. The extra polish washes right off your skin with water.
The color is unbelievable. It's so solid. It came right off my fingers. I can't wait to tell my friends about it. I love it.
The secret is Spray Perfect Smart Polish formula that only sticks to your nails, but easily washes off your skin with water. Perfect. And unlike bottle polish that tips, drips, and takes forever to put on, with Spray Perfect, you get smooth, easy, complete coverage in seconds.
This is really, really brilliant. I love that it stays on my nails and that it is off my skin. And the color is fantastic.
Whether you're left-handed or right-handed, it's so simple to spray on. For beautiful chip and crack-resistant polish you'll love to show off. And watch this. Spray Perfect is great for toenails too, because it's so easy to do. Ladies, your perfectly polished nails are just a spray away with Spray Perfect. Call or go online to get Spray Perfect in all of these fabulous colors.
Each year on September the 11th, ordinary citizens of the United Kingdom gather outside the United States Embassy in London. There, they show their solidarity with the people of the United States of America in remembrance of the terrorist attack on that day in 2001, the day Americans call 9/11. On July the 7th, 2005, terrorists exploded bombs in London, killing 52 people and injuring 700. The people of the United Kingdom called that day 7/7. To return and share love and respect with the citizens of the United Kingdom, please light up the darkness of the evening of July the 7th with 7 lights. These can be 7 firework rockets, 7 candles, or any other kind of lights possibly arranged in a display. Then post what you've done to your favorite social media to further remember the lives lost, those injured, and the nation attacked in the 7/7 bombings. Your posts will be a call to free people everywhere that they too can be lights standing against the darkness of Islamic terrorism. Let your light of love and resolve shine this year and in years to come by marking 7 on 7/7.
Hey guys, can I ask you a question?
A stranger, every parent's fear, and every child's. But with the Amber Alert GPS SOS button, help is at your child's fingertips, as an alerted cell phone shows a frightened child's exact location, so you can get help for your child immediately. Order Amber Alert GPS for your family now, because peace of mind is priceless.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe. Brooklyn Reaver, Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shrmedia.com.
Welcome back, people, to the most influential urban conservative talk show in the world. I want to thank all of the advertisers for picking up the phone, sending the email, saying, hey, I want to be a part of this. We want you to be a part of it too. Spreading the good news throughout the world. Ladies and gentlemen, now, there has been much ado today, and a lot of people have focused their attentions on Crooked Hillary. And you don't mind if I call her Crooked Hillary, do you? Because she reminds me a lot of Al Capone. She was able to get away with something. You got nothing on me. Nothing. If you had something, you would have come with it. And that's exactly the point. The point of the matter is you have a committee, the Select Committee on Benghazi, that smelt the smoke but couldn't find the fire. You had an administration that did its level best to make certain that you didn't find the fire. I want you to understand that 4 people died. Ambassador J. Christopher Stevens, U.S. Foreign Service Information Management Officer Sean Smith, that's his official title. Also, Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty, who were CIA contractors in Benghazi. And everybody is wondering after this no longer whose hands are unclean, because it seems that everyone's hands are unclean on Capitol Hill. And I do mean, and this is, I know a lot of people will have their great assessment and analysis and firing on Hillary, as well they should. And how they should be firing upon Obama, as well they should. Both fell short. Both are responsible. Both blame everyone else but themselves. But my friends, it's deeper than that. There are Republicans as well as Democrats, socialists, who are responsible for Benghazi. And the battle lines get blurred when we go to the area of CYA. When we must focus on ourselves and protecting our access, our influence, our power base, we certainly don't want the worst of news to get out. But tonight I want to talk with you about the worst of news. Thank you, Dave. I know I call it worst too, but I can't say it on the air. The bottom line is Benghazi is a failure of foreign policy and political compliance, political correctness. billions of dollars that could have been spent on shoring up Benghazi itself were never spent. Whose fault was that? Well, yes, it's Hillary's. Yes, it's Obama's. But also, yes, it's Congress. I know a lot of people say, whoa, Ken, that's not part of the notes that are sent out to all of the Republicans when they're holding these conservative talk shows. I don't get morning notes from anybody but the Lord. I want to play a clip for you just to put us back in time. And we're going to use Georgie. Stephanopoulos. Because actually, he sets up for us exactly where we were at the time that the whole idea of Benghazi comes to mind.
More videos from the scene coming in overnight, and we warn you, they are graphic. ABC's Jeffrey Kaufman is on the Libyan border, and he joins us now. Good morning, Jeffrey.
Good morning, George. This is Libya that for the first time in 42 years does not have to live in fear of Muammar Gaddafi. He is gone for good, and few, if any, are mourning his passing.
Overnight, the body of the dictator was placed on the ground for all in the city of Misrata to see for themselves. It's expected that he will be buried today in accordance with Muslim tradition, but that funeral may be delayed. And we're now seeing new images of those final moments before his death. In this video just released, there he is, crowds surrounding him. The last bloody moments of his life show him wounded and begging for mercy. He struggles, stumbles, and shouts as he fights against the enraged rebels. Haram Aleiko, he says over and over, an Arabic expression that literally means, this is a sin for you. According to ABC's translators, it's generally used as a plea of vulnerability. Muammar Gaddafi, who showed no mercy in his own life, begs for mercy as his is coming to an end. It had begun hours earlier, around 8 a.m. Thursday in Sirte, Gaddafi's hometown, when rebels started what they hoped would be the last offensive against the last Gaddafi holdouts. Then an American drone operated from Las Vegas alerts NATO. It spots a convoy of 80 cars fleeing south from Sirte. French fighter jets respond with an airstrike, taking out 2 of the vehicles. It's still unclear if they hit Gaddafi's car, but when rebels pour in, they tell the BBC's Gabriel Gatehouse he was hiding in this drainage pipe.
They say they discovered him here just before 12 o'clock this afternoon. They pulled him out of the hole. And one fighter told me that Muammar Gaddafi said to him, "What did I do to you?"
We catch him there, and we shot him.
The fatal shot reportedly fired by this man, proudly brandishing Gaddafi's gold gun. Rebels reportedly propped Gaddafi on the hood of a car for minutes, apparently parading their prize through the streets. "We want him alive, we want him alive," one man was heard saying before Gaddafi was dragged off the hood towards an ambulance. But Gaddafi died in the ambulance. Abdul Jalil Abdulaziz, a doctor who accompanied the body in the ambulance during the 120-mile drive to Misrata, said Gaddafi died from bullet wounds to the head and chest.
For the last 7 months, rebel leaders have said they would not consider this revolution over until all Gaddafi holdouts were vanquished and Gaddafi was caught dead or alive. Well, that's now happened. Tomorrow, Libya celebrates Liberation Day.
Yes, it was all about liberation. It was all about the new green age, the new peace that would come to the Middle East, because Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton's foreign policy was going to bring peace. It was going to throw out the old dictators in Egypt and Libya, although they were the ones who were suppressing the Mohammedans who were radical and attempting to cause upheaval in the most civilized of all the northern countries of Africa. Oh yeah, it was about Gaddafi. It was about securing a utopia where the Mohammedans could enter into their caliph or caliphate. and bring in 1,000 years of peace and prosperity. Because they would be secured by the fact that it was a Muslim president from the United States of America who was hosting their efforts as radicals. Yes, the same radicals that are today invading Northern Europe. You want to know the connection between Brexit and America? Let's go back to 2012 and let's take a look at Benghazi. Am I completely off the 40 acres and the mule that I have been promised? Some of you all might think I am. Let me play for you someone who doesn't think I'm off the reservation.
The purpose of the committee was to get to the truth. The committee didn't get to all the truth, but it got to a truth that the American public needs to know about. Hillary Clinton's regular, consistent, systematic, persistent capacity for lie.
In response to the Benghazi Committee's press conference Tuesday morning, Judge Andrew Napolitano said that then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton perpetrated the myth that the September 11th, 2012 attack in Benghazi, Libya was caused by an internet video.
It is not disputed and not disputable that Hillary Clinton knew the truth and lied about it and perpetuated the lie for weeks after Benghazi. We know that because we have seen an email she sent to her daughter, Chelsea, lamenting in the email, and in a brief way, a fair and accurate description.
I want you to stop there. And I want you to understand corruption. The people that she most endears are those who are closest to her in her inner circle. That is a sign of corrupt power. You see, those of us who should have known and knew instantly, Mary was here when first night we were talking about Benghazi. I knew it was no gosh darn video. What video was going to provoke someone in a cave? What? No. Net. Besides maybe a Whoopi Goldberg movie or Roseanne Barr. But I understand. Those can provoke people. But not that type of video that was being referred to. And then to have Susan Rice go on 5 network shows on Sunday morning and propel the lie that was upheld by Hillary at a funeral, that was upheld by Obama throughout the whole face. The bottom line is they were attempting to create the Arab Spring that was essential to bringing radical Islamists to power, thus creating a caliphate. Yes, it was planned. Am I wrong? Am I wrong here?
Email she sent to her daughter, Chelsea, lamenting in the email, in a brief way, a fair and accurate description of what happened. We were attacked. We were defenseless. She didn't use those words, but that's the essence of it.
She says it was Al-Qaeda.
Correct. Nevertheless, she went out and perpetrated the myth. She even perpetrated the myth that this was caused by a video.
I want you to understand something, ladies and gentlemen who are listening on the down low in Washington, D.C. You are about to vote for someone who cares only about herself, her power, her influence, and her wealth. You talk about Eva Peron. Eva Peron ain't got a bottle cap on Hillary Clinton. We'll be right back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. We're going to talk tonight with Janis Hall at 10 p.m. about the world as it really Cheers.
Well, welcome to Freedom Fest 2015. I think this is the best Freedom Fest we've ever put together.
Freedom Fest is truly international. There's people from all over the world that come to Freedom Fest, not just to talk, but also to participate in dialogue, participate in the panels, to participate in the audience.
So hold your breath, Lock your seatbelts. I hope you're at your Wheaties today.
We are enslaved by government mandates. What light bulb you can buy, what car you can drive, how you heat and cool your home, to what health insurance.
Europe actually has allowed itself to be held hostage of this entire Greek situation.
They have the courage to debate. You have debates on foreign policy, on taxes, and what's going on in the world, and how to invest, and how to run your own life. Here's an example of restaurants. Don't open a restaurant because it's so competitive you'll never make any money. Really? I mean, been to Chipotle lately? How many believe that Peter Thiel won the argument competition is overrated in America? And how many favor John Mackey's response?
So here's the moment many of you have been waiting for, myself included, and I think it's the reason why this room is completely packed all the way to the back as far as I can see.
I think I worked about 8 years to put together this debate.
I have to say, it's really kind of depressing to see people holding up the Reagan story, which is so obviously different if you pay any attention to the story, as that's the best argument, really? That's the best argument?
The middle class and the poor, the people you say you care most about, are the people who've been hurt the most by these policies because they've had no income growth at all.
Thank you. They already left 2 waters for me. I'll probably only need 1. So I appreciate it.
In America today, higher education is controlled by a cartel. And they say, oh, let's take out a loan and pay for this. And no one bothers to tell them that the market for Greek philosophers has been tight for 2,000 years.
So in terms of its 2 major policy objectives, stable prices and a stable economy, the Fed has clearly failed.
And if the Federal Reserve actually did the right thing, the market would crash.
Every country in the world has a lower corporate tax rate than us. Can we fix that?
This, in my view, is the premier libertarian event in the country.
You probably meet the largest cross-section of philosophically based groups of any conference anywhere in the world.
Some of the smartest people in our country come together here to discuss the ideas, the challenges. This is an engaged group of individuals.
This is all about the mind. It's not about how fancy you are.
Feisty discussions, interesting people to meet.
I love it. This is my first time doing anything like this. It's not gonna be my last.
It's the only place you get this many people who agree with me. Nobody, I live in New York. Nobody agrees with me.
You know, war is not the health of the state. War is the death of liberty and freedom. And that's a mentality that is particularly strong in the Republican Party, but it's also strong in the Democratic Party.
I want government to be this small. I want the individual to be this big.
We are people when we are at our greatest that we lead by example. We don't jam it down anybody's throat. We don't force them to live our way. We don't nation build.
Very interesting. There's a lot of variety of stuff. Really a lot.
Hear ye, hear ye. Freedom Fest Court is now in session.
We are gathered here in this great sovereign state of Nevada to decide the fate of the country's central bank, the Federal Reserve.
Please place your hand on this edition of Forbes 400 Richest.
There was a bubble in many markets, and that's simply mathematically impossible without the Fed creating the money to make it happen.
The Fed is guilty, 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 guilty. Court is now adjourned. God bless America, and may you always ride on the eagle of freedom. Hallelujah, and good night.
I'm Joanne Skousen. I'm the founding director of the Anthem Film Festival, and we are in our 5th year. We started in a little room on the 26th floor at Bally's, and now we've grown to huge numbers. In fact, we have a fabulous lineup of short.
Police officers can wear a body cam, but you as citizens may not have access to the footage.
Live from Las Vegas.
We recognize that Freedom Fest is a big tent.
Well, I happen to like Rand Paul. I really do. By the way, in some cases, they'll build a new hospital for $1.5 billion. You could build 7 hospitals, 10 hospitals for that if you knew what you were doing.
We had almost 300 speakers.
Without a doubt, our most successful Freedom Fest ever.
I just adore the experience. It's like a saturation of the senses, a saturation of the mind. I've learned so much. I come home with way too many books. I adore Freedom Fest. I'm definitely coming back again next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to do me a great favor. There's still time. There's a few weeks until Freedom Fest, July 13th through 16th. They're playing in Hollywood and Las Vegas, Nevada. There are so many great speakers that will be in attendance, great events, great writers, the whole gambit. Pick up the phone, call, actually go to freedomfest.com, freedomfest.com. You can also call their number as well. But if you go there, you can register, you can get in. I am quite certain that you will enjoy all of the great benefits of being at Freedom Fest. Sakia Shah will be there. We're going to dress him up as Hillary Clinton. He will be greeting people at the casino. So please come watch. Also, the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, will be joining us. Sackhead Clint will be there. Free Sacco will also be in attendance, and so much more. Make your way. I believe also Lonnie Poindexter will be there from, of course, Urban Family Talk. We missed Lonnie yesterday, but we'll have him on tomorrow night at 9:30 to talk about world events. But please, make your way there.
From coast to coast, there is one bank focused on building a better future. One bank with programs you can trust to help boost your economic picture. One United Bank, with rates better than the national average, no hidden fees, and even cashback debit cards. You'll feel the boost in your budget. One United Bank, the premier bank for urban communities in Boston, Miami, and Los Angeles. Visit us at oneunited.com or call 877-1UNITED today. Member FDIC.
As the bodies of Ambassador Stevens and the three others were being received at McGuire Air Force Base.
The judge explained that Hillary Clinton was trying to remove Muammar Gaddafi from power by funneling weapons to NATO-backed rebels with ties to al-Qaeda.
Mrs. Clinton concocted the idea she wanted to depose Gaddafi. She presented this to President Obama congressional leadership. They went along with it. They kept it under wraps. In order to depose him, she, as Secretary of State, authorized the shipment of weapons to terrorist groups, militias/terrorist groups, some of whom killed Chris Stevens. The committee report does not ask, where did the weapons come from? The weapons came from Hillary Clinton's secret war, approved by President Obama, consented to by leadership in both houses and both.
I want you to understand what the judge and I agree on. And
where did the...
It is not per co-inky-dinky that Al-Qaeda gets weapons of mass destruction, weapons of war, and points them at Woods and the ambassador, Stevens, and the two others. It's not a co-inky-dinky. You have to ask yourself, where did they get the weapons from? They weren't being sold at the local market. Pick it up. It's a very good. Take it. It looks very nice. No, it wasn't being sold like that at the local market. Weapons were being transferred from somewhere, from someone to someone. Libya, Benghazi, happened to be the central place before it reached its designation. Four Americans lost their lives because of something being done illegally. Now remember, there was, under the Reagan administration, the transfer of weapons to those from El Salvador, the radicals. And they spent a whole summer investigating him. They said it was illegal to do that. Hillary and Obama are responsible for the deaths of the four. But they alone are not responsible. The intelligence agency or intelligence committees and foreign policy committees knew this was going on. This is bigger than Watergate, my friends. It's not just a server. Congressman Trey Gowdy has set up an opportunity for the next administration to ask who, what, where, when, how often, and why.
Steve, the committee report does not ask where did the weapons come from. The weapons came from Hillary Clinton's secret war, approved by President Obama, consented to by leadership in both houses and both political parties, to rid Libya of Colonel Gaddafi.
We want to thank Western journalism for providing that particular take. But I wanted you to hear that this is bigger. I know the Republicans want us to be angry with Hillary, and rightfully so. They want us to be angry with Obama, and rightfully so. And the Democrats who were part of the Foreign Policy Committee, who were trying to invoke the authority of the governance of the United States of America in a quiet war, a silent war, a rumored war with a legitimate sovereign nation supported by the terrorists who helped bring the Twin Towers down. The enemy of my enemy just might become my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, this is bigger than a lot of people want to say, than a lot of people want to talk about. We're going to talk about the Select Committee on Benghazi proposed report. And 81 witnesses, 75,000 pages of documents. But I want you all to understand, without a shadow of a doubt, there are those in the know who are hoping that this will surely pass away. That Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General for the United States of America, will do the wrong thing, which would be the right thing for them, and diffuse any thought of prosecuting Hillary Clinton for the email server matter. And their hope is, should she become president, this will all be forgotten, except by the exceptional one. We won't forget. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the good people at SHR Media, Sackheads Radio Media. Tomorrow night, Sackheads Radio Night, Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint will be on the air live at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. I want to also thank my very good friend Dan Butcher, his lovely wife Jane, and all of the members of High Plains Pundit Media. And want to send a great shout out to Internet Conservative Radio Network, who has a new radio network coming up July 4th. It is Red Nation Rising. And I do not mean Russia. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk right after these messages.
We have Kona Coffee. We have 100% Kona Coffee.
You know, Kona Coffee is a wonderful place. In Hillcrest, there are many places that offer coffee. But Kona has some of the best quality coffee that I have consistently been able to receive.
I actually used to work at Starbucks, and I don't like it. I love Kona compared to Starbucks, just because the Starbucks espresso is always a little burnt, and the Kona is really smooth. It's not over roasted. We roast it daily, so we keep it so fresh. It's delicious.
It's very creamy. I'm having a chai latte.
Our Kona blend is amazing. It's a 35% Kona.
This is the flavored one. They use like oils to flavor it, so you don't get like all that sugar if you're especially like if you're looking to be healthy.
It's amazing. I come every morning that I have to work and get their acai bowl, and it's phenomenal.
An acai bowl is a Brazilian berry. It's really healthy meal. Could be a breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
refreshing, and it comes with fresh bananas and strawberries and granola and coconut, and they're amazing.
It's better because they do know you. So if you walk in and you can have a conversation, unlike Starbucks, they're kind of whatever.
They're always so friendly. They're always really nice. Even when you see them around the area, they always stop and say hi to you.
They treat you like neighbors, which is really nice.
4 out of 5 doctors prefer Kona coffee.
Hey everybody, it's Kristen. I'm here to review women's spirits made by dogs. I love these shoes. I am an FM sufferer, so finding shoes that don't make my feet hurt is very tough. These don't make my feet hurt. I've tried Pumas, I've tried Nikes. Nikes are pretty good. Pumas I can't wear. They hurt my feet too much. I mean, it's to the point to where my feet hurt so bad to where I can't even walk. So I was so happy whenever I was contacted to review the new dogs. I love these dogs. I love these things. My feet don't hurt when I wear them. They got the holes in them to keep my feet cool. They got massaging bumpies inside. Feels like you're walking on little things of foam. I mean, like, it's just awesome. I just love it. The heel is a deep well down in your heel, and it protects. It's a shock absorber. So if you're running in them or jumping in them, like if you're on a chair and you have to jump in them, it absorbs the shock. What else? And then it's a higher thing back here for your heel. So it's like a really high thing that protects your ankle from when you're running, so there's no injuries, so it doesn't cause injuries. Velcro, so it's very easy to tighten your shoe, so whenever you're running, your shoe won't fall off when you're trying to run. I love these shoes, and I hope you guys really appreciate this review, and there will be pictures at the end, like always. But I wish you guys go check them out. They're only, these women's spirits are $40. There's a whole bunch of other kind of shoes that you can purchase as well. There are children's shoes, toddler shoes, infant shoes, men's shoes, women's shoes. Anything you can think of, they got it. And they're pretty cool. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you next time.
So what do you think about ebooks? Maybe you've never read an ebook before, but you're considering giving it a try. Or maybe you've been reluctant to try ebooks because you don't want to buy another expensive electronic device. Or maybe you already enjoy ebooks, but you haven't been able to find titles from your favorite Christian authors. Whatever your situation, ChristianBook.com has the solution. The trusted source for print books for over 30 years now offers ebooks. Our always free CBD reader allows you to read on the devices you already own without spending money on a new device. Thousands of Christian ebooks at ChristianBook.com means you can shop with confidence and choose from the titles you want. Plus, we are adding new titles all the time. Browse our huge selection of low-priced Christian ebooks the same way you would printed books, only now you can go from shopping to reading in seconds. Simply select the ebook you wish to purchase, confirm your account information, and start reading. Free samples of every ebook are available, so you can preview the book first, before you buy it. Plus, there's no lengthy app downloads and updates. Accessing the CBD Reader is as easy as going to cbdreader.christianbook.com and bookmarking the page. The CBD Reader holds your ebooks and bookmarks for you, no matter what device you're on. So, you can take your entire ebook library wherever you go and pick up right where you left off. Our customizable options make it possible to read your ebooks in different font sizes and styles. Want a large print version? You've got it in seconds with a simple click of the mouse. Already own a dedicated e-reader? Download your ebooks to your computer from your ChristianBook.com account and transfer them to your device. Try ebooks at ChristianBook.com and start reading your favorite books in seconds. Easy, economical, everywhere you want to read. Welcome to ChristianBook.com ebooks.
it to be. I heard a southern wind calling out to me, go back home again. Now I'm standing at the long end of the path I chose, and I can't stop thinking about all the things I miss the most. Might be those Saturday nights and the honky tonks and the rodeos, all the way the sun sets in the hills of San Antonio. Might be the dust on my boots, the miles of fence line, that old Rio Grande, or the wide open sky. But my best guess is it's that girl in Tennessee.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's always that girl in Texas that makes you just do anything. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exception Consider Show, live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican and then the socialists, who call themselves Democrats, but really they're Marxist, communists, socialists, pick and choose however way they wish. They're progressives, left over from the Brexit war, the Brexit. Oh man, I can't wait for the other nations to leave the European Union. Speaking of which, we have with us tonight a young woman who calls it like it T.I. is. None other than the beautiful and brilliant, yes, Janis Hall of the J Hall World Report. We're going to be talking about some of the big issues that are facing the world today. She breaks it down in such a way that you can talk about it at the kitchen table. Ladies and gentlemen, Janis Hall. Janis, it's a great privilege to have you on the air with us again tonight.
Thank you. Always happy to be here. And we have a lot of news to talk about today.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think they're going to run out of paper with all the news that's being printed up today. I want to talk with you about something that's happening right now, even as we speak. And that is the matter of Istanbul, the airport, Ataturk Airport, where there was a terror attack earlier today. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So in the Ataturk Airport in Istanbul, in Turkey, basically there was 3 terrorists detonated suicide vests. And so far the reports are that I think 36 have died and almost 150 people have been injured. And obviously this just happened today. It's been the big news. And as far as we know, these people are definitely connected to ISIS.
Wow. So ISIS strikes again. And in Orlando, it was a little over 100 people. Today, over 150 people. Does anyone see a connection here that it's the terrorists that we should be after at this point?
I mean, I would hope so, but that doesn't ever seem to be the case.
Wow. Wow. Now, ISIS comes out and they say that they're responsible for this. Has anyone from the U.S. said anything regarding this particular attack?
No, not as yet.
Wow. Wow. This doesn't bode well for a president who said that ISIS was a JV team. Turkey has been getting a lot of kudos because they've been sending former invaders of Europe home in exchange for wealth from Europe. Is this payback by ISIS to Turkey?
I don't know if that's the case. I mean, maybe that's part of it. I think primarily it's mostly based on ISIS doesn't like anybody.
Break it down.
And ISIS is going to bomb and terrorize anywhere that it can. And if people see an opportunity to, if terrorists see an opportunity, I think that they're going to take it. And I think that, what we've seen in Orlando and now in Turkey, I don't necessarily think that it has any specific wider meaning, other than just to cause chaos and mayhem. I mean, it's possible. It's sort of related to the offensive that Iraq had against Fallujah, but I would still generally say that, I mean, ISIS has been going after Turkey for a while, and it will continue to do so whether or not Turkey takes in illegals from the rest of Europe.
Wow. Turkey took over from Egypt as being the stable Middle Eastern state. I know that it's in Northwest Asia. It has been looked upon as, well, not really Northwest, more like West Asia or whatever. But the bottom line is that Turkey has always been looked upon over the past couple of decades as the option that's not Egyptian. Egypt being turned left and right in a matter of moments by the Obama administration, and then by rebels, and then by their own people. Egypt has been kind of in disarray. Turkey has been the stronghold that, that solidified power. If a couple of these keep happening in Turkey, what will be the outcome? Will NATO react? Will we react? Will Turkey react? How? What's going to happen in this regard?
Okay, so yes, stability in the Middle East is a relative term. I think that it is. So I think that, Turkey has always been a good ally in the Middle East. It's been, one of the countries that, we have been able to have relatively decent, good military relations with.
Yeah.
And, that's definitely becoming more important since Egypt has essentially also, as you were saying, things are getting a little crazy in Egypt. So, yes. I do think that Turkey probably won't do anything hugely important or effective because of this, and I know that we certainly won't.
Yeah.
That said, Turkey really hasn't been doing much with ISIS anyway, so I doubt that they will engage this time either. Besides, we're probably whispering to them, no, don't do anything.
Wow. Another 6 months of the Obama administration is right on the board. Everyone's a flutter regarding Brexit. And apparently, after 2 days of market turmoil, finally a good day, some recovery. But there is a bitterness in Europe right now. Can you explain that to the people who are listening?
Yeah, I mean, this is part of it. There's a lot of strong feelings in Europe all over the place. So, yeah, the Europeans are kind of upset that the British have decided to leave. I think there's definitely also, depending, on who you are, there's some jealousy. Several countries have, factions of their population that would also like to leave the European Union. I personally think that the European Union is going down, and I'm pleased that Britain got out. I'm also pleased that Britain has, taken pride in itself, and, I don't think that Britain needs doesn't need the EU.
Yeah.
To be great. I think that they are more than capable of doing that on their own, and I think that, we, the U.S. and the British people should have faith in them. So, yeah, there's a lot of bitterness right now in the EU about this. There's also a lot of strong feelings and bitterness about, within the UK as well, especially in Scotland. The Scottish, to a pretty significant margin, did want to stay in the EU, and their vote reflected that. And I think that, this is one of those issues that really is very important.
Yeah.
And really gets to the core of what a country is, more so than just, voting for a member of parliament every few years. And I think what the British now need to do, or, the leadership and the politicians need to do, is start working on mending some of those ties, and letting people heal, because it was a pretty bloody campaign, and there was a lot of passions on both sides. And for the UK to be successful in, leaving the EU, and also to be successful on its own, it needs to come together and be proud of what being British is.
Well, I applaud them as you do, for seeking independence. They follow us. It's amazing what they can learn from us about being independent.
I was so happy. I stayed up way too late watching results.
And Dave Milner, who's in our chat roll tonight, was giving us the news that the Remain was ahead 52-48, and many of the elitists in Great Britain went to sleep early because they were ahead 52-48, and they woke up, and the next morning the rebels had taken over Great Britain. The British were free, and if you really were to take away maybe 2%, one way or the other, for some of the calamities of just electoral manipulation, they probably won by at least 6 points. But there was a cry to have another vote. Is this worth another vote?
I personally don't think it's worth another vote. And I also don't think it's worth, the Scots either trying to now leave the UK, which some people have been, proposing, or to try and block Brexit from happening. I think that, it's a democratic process, and as much as 48% of the population was not happy with the results, that is how democracy works.
Yeah, it sucks to be you. You're on the losing side of the vote.
We Republicans know this from the last 8 years.
We know what it feels like. Listen, Dave Milner asked me to ask you this because there were some staunch elitists in Europe who were just unabashedly critical of the separation, of the divorce, and they moved to becoming a European superstate. All hands on deck, save the rest of Europe from the toe
Yeah.
of independence. Your thoughts on that?
Oh my goodness. You can't see me, but I'm like face palming right now.
We have got to
Okay.
get that face on.
So, the EU is, I personally think, a badly designed concept.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that there's nothing wrong with having a European trade deal, or even the free movement of people. And not necessarily having border controls between friendly states. I'm not opposed to these things if done correctly.
Yeah.
But I think what the EU became was this tyranny of a bureaucracy, and to double down on that is, to me, ludicrous. And also going back to the elites, that seems to be kind of the kind of what's been happening this year with Trump, and now with this vote, that the political elite and the talking heads seem to be completely out of touch with how most of the population is feeling.
Mm-hmm. Now,
And I think
Peter Sutherland of Ireland, and the father of globalization, made this statement. He said the EU should do its best to undermine the homogeneity of its member states, as the future prosperity of many EU states depended on them becoming multicultural. Wasn't Brexit really about a referendum on the Mohammedan invasion of Europe?
Well, I definitely think that was part of it. Brexit definitely seemed to have a surge when the immigration issue came up.
Mm-hmm.
I think the British definitely have, they've never had open borders, even when being part of the EU. People coming in were, essentially still subject to, go having their documents checked. So
yeah.
I think I think immigration probably was a big deal. I mean, I think also economically, I think it was a big deal. But I think if I was going to say what I think it ultimately was about,
mm-hmm.
I think it was about being proud of being British.
Yeah. There you go.
And and taking pride in that, and not, forsaking it to say that you're a European.
We're talking with Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report, taking pride in being British. I love it. And unfortunately, there are many people who have a financial boom to pursue. They're not thinking about nationalism or sovereignty or the immigration invasion. They're only thinking about their financial well-being. And George Soros being one of them, and so many others. It is so good to see that Europe has decided, or at least Britain has decided, to go back to what Margaret Thatcher said, because you eventually run out of other people's money. But has the European Parliament failed in this regard, the members of the European Parliament?
Well, I think so. I think the whole European Union leadership and bureaucracy has essentially failed. I think that they are too big, they are too complicated, they try to be too many things in a region that has a lot of diversity between, the different states that, that compose of it. And, I mean, it's not like the U.S., where, you have 50 states, but at the end of the day, we're all Americans, and we're all part of one country. And that's not the same thing in Europe. We have, a couple dozen different countries, and people that, they might be happy to be European, just as, perhaps we're happy to be North American, but I think national pride can't be undermined.
Exactly. I want to ask you tonight also regarding some other things that are happening around the world, because there are a lot of choice fruits to eat from. Apparently, and to finish out the conversation regarding Brexit, we're going to run out of time. What are the Irish doing? We know the Scots are ready to leave, but what are the Irish doing?
Okay, so the Irish, who are still members of the European Union. So basically, anybody who's British is now trying to take advantage of perhaps having some Irish heritage and getting an Irish passport.
Oh!
Yes. And quite honestly, I am totally okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to do that, go ahead. But I would still hope that they're still British.
They're losers. You go where you're most happy. Socialism is your charm. Go ahead and wear it well. Want to ask you in finality, because a lot of people are starting to head south for the Olympics to Brazil. They have a northern neighbor that's not getting along too well, just as Brazil isn't getting along too well. But Venezuela, what's going on there?
Oh, Venezuela. Well, as far as we know, it's still standing. They apparently have checked enough signatures that they can have a referendum. I somehow doubt that it'll be in time. But one of the stories that I saw today was that oil production is going down. One of the reasons is because the workers aren't working, because they aren't getting paid. And that's important, yes, oil production is important, but ultimately I think I'm, looking at it as a sign of other things to come. And, power is essentially how many people do you have who are willing to do what you say.
Yep.
And, yes, Maduro might have the military currently, but if the military doesn't get paid and the military isn't eating, they're not going to be with him for very long.
Wow, it could get ugly.
Yeah, and if the oil workers aren't getting paid, I imagine it's only a matter of time before the military isn't going to be supported either.
Wow. Let's pray that everyone's safe in Brazil and that there's no crises in South America, at least during the summertime. Or at least the wintertime there, summer here. Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report. Janis, we love you. We thank you so much for breaking down the complexities of world news to the level at the kitchen table that people can understand.
Thank you.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I love the fact that we have such diversity on our program. So many different individuals with their varying opinions, different ways of seeing things. And it allows us to grow and expand while keeping to the principles that allow us to be strengthened overall. When we come back, I want to talk with you about Benghazi, and then I want to talk with you about getting your financial life in order, a declaration of financial independence. And the first look that we're going to take towards that is Howard University in Washington, D.C. Believe it or not. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for tuning in to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. I am your host, the Exceptional One, broadcasting from Livestream and Ustream and SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Media and Red Nation Rising, better known as the Internet Conservative Radio Network, at least until July 4th, and so many others who pick us up at various Facebook and Google sites. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be right back with the last commercial-free quarter of the Exceptional Conservative Show.
From day's first light to night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies. Anytime, any place. It's how we've done business since 1939. Brownell's.
I was in need of some advice from a lawyer, but I found this site and it saved me a fortune. Law Depot lets you easily customize legal documents. More than 2 million people have used Law Depot to create over 4 million legal documents and save over $1 billion in legal fees. Whether you are interested in protecting your estate, managing a rental property, setting up a business, or any other situation requiring legal forms, Law Depot's extensive library of documents and legal resources are able to assist you with all your legal needs. You get customized legal documents at a fraction of the price it would cost through a traditional lawyer. Quality legal documents since 2001. Click the link below.
At LawDepot.com, we decided to compare one of our easy-to-use online legal contracts against one prepared by a private lawyer. Sort of a lawyer taste test. We wanted to show how you could save hundreds of dollars on quality legal products, from wills to business startup packages. Unfortunately, the consultants misunderstood what we meant by taste test. Needs more sauce.
Objection! Overruled.
LawDepot.com. Trusted do-it-yourself legal.
From coast to coast, there is one bank focused on building a better future. One bank with programs you can trust to help boost your economic picture. One United Bank, with rates better than the national average, no hidden fees, and even cashback debit cards. You'll feel the boost in your budget. One United Bank, the premier bank for urban communities in Boston, Miami, and Los Angeles. Visit us at oneunited.com or call 877-1UNITED today. Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Aaron Little, and this is Performance Edge, and we're still at the 2015 NRA convention in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm walking the show floor, and I ran across this booth, and if you've ever taken a live class with me, you know how much I talk about this organization, and now we have a great opportunity from the man himself to tell you what it's all about. So, Marty, please introduce yourself and tell them what we got.
I'm Marty Hayes, president of the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network. For 25 years, I've been a firearms trainer myself. I own and operate the Firearms Academy of Seattle. And a few years ago, I decided there's got to be something more I can do for my students, and maybe for the whole armed American culture. So I went to law school, got my law degree, and then started the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network. The concept behind it is that if one of us is prosecuted or sued after an act of self-defense, then the network gets behind that person, help provide their legal defense for them. We started out with there's no money in the bank. We have been able to, through raising money through our members, 25% of the member dues goes into a legal defense fund. We now have 9,000 members and over $500,000 in that legal defense fund.
A war chest.
It is, and that is earmarked for our members. We don't spend that money unless a member calls and needs some assistance.
So over the time you've been in business, or been representing your members, rough idea, rough estimate, how many times has the service been utilized?
We had 11 members involved in incidents.
Okay.
And in each one of them, we provided additional money for representation. In one of them, the guy was being prosecuted, so we gave his attorney additional money to make sure that he had a good, competent legal defense. And that's really what we're about.
So the website, if you're interested in more information,
armedcitizensnetwork.org.
And this is 2015. This is April of 2015, so things change. But as of today, membership dues are
$125 for the first year, $85 a year after that.
And in addition to the great representation that everyone who joins hopes they never need to use, anything else they get for that?
They get educational package. Right now we've got 8 DVDs that we send out, plus Masadi book, Deadly Force, and that goes to help educate our members on the rules of the road, the nuances of self-defense. And so we want our members well educated, and so if they have to use a gun in self-defense, they can justify their actions, not because they just felt in fear for their life, but they can specify why they felt in fear for their life because of the educational material we provide them.
Awesome. Fantastic. Listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit in front of the camera. Listen, guys, if you train with us, you've heard me say before, there's 3 battles. There's the fight for your life, there's the emotional battle, and there's the legal battle. We know, we talk a lot about that fight for your life, and hopefully you're talking about how you're going to deal with the emotional battle. These guys are here to help you with the legal battle. So please check out their website. You really should consider joining. Trust me, you will, if you ever need it, you will be glad you did. Your family will be glad you did. So thank you very much. Again, I'm Aaron Little. This is Performance Edge. Thoughts, comments, ideas below. Please go check out this.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you conceal carry, if you have a firearm in your home, in your car, 12 gauge, whatever it is, check out Armed Citizens Legal Defense. It is far better to need it and have it than to need it and don't. Legal defense. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the last commercial-free hour of the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. I'm your host, Ken McClinton. We certainly are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican and then the Socialists. A lot of stuff happening today. Of course, I want to finish off our coverage. Ken needs a transtextual approved Redskin cowboy number 2 NRA hat to wear out. You are so right. You are absolutely right. It would probably be a red boy hat. Red boys. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a corrupt governance. That's all that I have learned from this. Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, Glenn Doherty, and Tyrone Woods were heroes. They were trying to save each other's lives and the lives of those who were also there. There were at least 30 other, I've heard 30 to 50 others who were involved in the combat operations there, at least trying to get out. And Chairman Trey Gowdy made this comment. He said, when the Select Committee was formed, I promised to conduct this investigation in a manner worthy of the American people's respect, worthy of the memory of those who died. That is exactly what my colleagues and I have done. Now, I simply ask the American people to read this report for themselves, look at the abundance we have collected, and reach their own conclusions. You can read this report in less time than our fellow citizens were taking fire and fighting for their lives on the rooftops in the streets of Benghazi. 13 hours, people. Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, Glenn Doherty, Tyrone Woods. Here are some of the facts that were laid out by this reporting of the Select Committee. Number one, despite President Obama and Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta's clear orders to deploy military assets, nothing was sent to Benghazi. Nothing was en route to Libya at the time the last 2 Americans were killed almost 8 hours after the attacks began. Now, reasonable to suspect, although improbable by supersonic flight, maybe the first 30 minutes, maybe the first hour. But certainly, from Italy to Libya, nah. Should have been able to send something, even drones, to help them out. With Ambassador Stevens, the next point, with Ambassador Stevens missing, the White House convened a roughly 2-hour meeting at 7:30 p.m., which resulted in action items focused on a YouTube video. I want you to marinate on that. Since we're in the summer, I want you to marinate on that. That the White House didn't consider you cognizant of the foreign affairs, didn't seem to think that you were witty enough to prevail upon their wizardry, didn't think that you were wise enough to see through their folly. Now, they were hoping that you were dumb enough to go along with it, and trust me, there were some socialists, communists, Marxists, progressive, liberals, Democrat, socialists who were dumb enough to go along with it and would debate me to the toe that it was a YouTube video that started this. He goes on to say, if any deployment is made, and Libya must agree to any of the deployment, and will not deploy until order comes to go to either Tripoli or Benghazi. So as long as there was chaos and our fellow brethren were in the midst of that chaos, they were on their own. This is virtually what the White House is saying. We're not going in there. And this is, and I want y'all to understand something. This is how you know that there is a problem here. There's a problem with this report. Because one part of the report says this. To cite President Obama and Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta's clear orders. That's what it says in one part. But in another part of it, it says this. They convened a meeting to discuss YouTube. So, why hasn't there been someone fired for insubordination? Why is it that ministers will stand in a pulpit and fight tooth and nail for the clarity of character for a Hillary Clinton and a Barack Obama, and yet deny the fact that there were 4 men who died because neither one of them would move on it because it was not politically correct for them to do so? Can you imagine, America, and I'm quite certain for those who are in urban America, you can easily consider this, that literally it may not be politically correct to save your child's life. Anything that goes against the political agenda or the political outcome or what we've been taught through indoctrination to believe but not criticize, somehow it doesn't measure to me that in one breath you can say do anything you can to save them, and in the next breath don't go over there, there's too much chaos. What are you saying? Don't save them, but save them. You see, this is the standard of the Democrat socialists. It's a double-minded theologic identity complex. In one breath it makes sense, the next breath it doesn't make sense, but you're supposed to tell me it makes sense and it doesn't make sense, and you're supposed to stand with me, and I'm not supposed to appear crazy to you. For 2 hours they talked about YouTube. while men died. And you're going to vote for her. That's the same mentality of voting for someone who looks at your wife who's pregnant and says, are you all going to get an abortion? That's someone who says that a grandmother of 5 who's raising 3 of them in her home, who's trying to get home from the bar at 3 in the morning because she works there, earning her minimum wage, she can't have anything to protect her at 3 in the morning. Because that would go against the agenda of gun control. Do you understand? Can you fathom this now? Crooked Hillary evaded the direct strike of Congress for 2 important reasons. One, it didn't fit a political agenda. There are people dying in Chicago tonight because they don't fit a political agenda. Here's the second part of that. CYA. Even the people that investigated this had to CYA because they were involved in the process that created Benghazi to begin with. And nobody wants to take the direct strike. Ladies and gentlemen, just a few other points, and then I want to go to Declaration of Independence Day, financial independence. Number 3, the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff typically would have participated in the White House meeting, but did not attend because he went home to host a dinner party for foreign dignitaries. Why isn't the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs fired? Why? Why wasn't he fired? Probably was. He had to be fired. I mean, because in an hour when there is a cause for military action and you're not present to deliver the orders, I mean, you got rid of Admiral Ham. I mean, he was trying to send jets. He had already fueled up jets and ready to send them. You fired him. I mean, let me give you another point. A fleet anti-terrorism security team, FAST, sat on a plane in Rota, Spain for 3 hours and changed in and out of their uniforms 4 times. This is all the foreign policy that you... And I know Donald Trump's people are not listening out to me because, quite frankly, Donald Trump's people, Ken's been pro-Ted Cruz. We don't like him. And that's okay. I'm understanding it. This is all you have to say in any debate from this point on. A fleet anti-terrorism security team sat on a plane in Rota, Spain for 3 hours. For 8 hours, for 13 hours total, for 8 hours straight, they were under bombardment with no help coming. I want y'all to fathom this. Can you imagine how that feels? When you turn to the people who say that they trust and love you and will be there for you, turn their back on you in the moment that you need them most. Do you know how that feels? And somehow, the ones who did it get to go to the funeral of the ones who have been betrayed. And they get to hug up on the mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and aunts and uncles and tell them it was a YouTube video. By supersonic flight, it wouldn't take very long to get from Spain to Italy. I'm just saying. It wouldn't have taken 3 hours. Just one more. Actually, two more points. Here we go. None of the relevant military forces met their required deployment timelines. The military failed the people who needed the most. And who is Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Armed Forces? Barack Hussein Obama. Not only did his foreign policy fail, but guess what, people? His military policy failed. And yet he's lauded and lifted and lofted amongst all others because of the color of his skin. I'm going to give you one last bullet point here. The Libyan forces that evacuated Americans from the CIA annex to Benghazi airport was not affiliated with any of the militias the CIA or State Department had developed a relationship with during the prior 18 months. Instead, it was comprised of former Gaddafi loyalists who the U.S. had helped remove from power during the Libyan revolution. Putting hot coals on someone's head. The people that tried to save Ambassador Stevens were Gaddafi loyalists. The people who tried to take Gaddafi out and succeeded were Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. My enemy is my enemy, who may become my friend. In this instance, Gaddafi died because Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton wanted to instill the Arab Spring. Stevens, Woods, Sean Smith, and Glenn Doherty died because the commander-in-chief wasn't around to command forces. He left a note, went away, and no one knows to where outside of Las Vegas for political activity. This has to be the most embarrassing and tragic circumstance and condition. I want you, sometimes I get into the theological. But remember the Hittite soldier who left his wife and family to go to war while David stayed behind to muse his wife? And he got his wife pregnant, the Hittite. David got the Hittite's wife pregnant. Let me just correct that in terms of grammar. And he did all that he could to cover his Gluteus Maximus. He brought the Hittite soldier back home so that he could sleep with his wife, but he so longed to be with his brethren on the battlefield that he slept outside. David attempted to get the man drunk so that he could make it look like he got his wife pregnant, but he refused to do so because of his loyalty to the brethren on the battlefield. David was smitten with anger, vitriol, jealousy. How could he cast off the sin of not only adultery, but creating a baby out of wedlock with another man's wife? How could he cover himself? Do you know what the press will say? Do you know how this is going to look in the Jerusalem Post tomorrow morning? Do you know what they would do? So he got his general to put the Hittite soldier in the most chaotic place of war. And David instructed the general to leave him be. Whatever comes his way comes. He was left in chaos while David was covering his Gluteus Maximus. The Hittite died. You know, there was not a happy ending either for David in this particular case, because the child that he bore to the Hittite's wife also died. You see, when people want to cover themselves, protect their image, their reputation, they will do whatever is essential to CYA. Even if that means sacrificing innocent life. That's when our emotions, when we are no longer the center of emotions with Christ, take hold of us and tell us the thing that we're doing is acceptable and no one will catch me. That's why Hillary Clinton sounded a lot like Al Capone today. You got nothing on me. Nothing. It was all political. David rose up after his baby died, recognizing that he had been covered. Well, Sean Smith, Ambassador J. Christopher Stevens, Tyrone Woods, and Glenn Doherty have also been covered, but they've been covered with 6 feet of dirt. They paid the ultimate price for President Barack Hussein Obama, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, the U.S. Congress, and the U.S. military to cover their Gluteus Maximus. That's what I get from this report today. I know the Republicans want me to get something else, and they probably want me to come on the air to get you all hot and bothered, throw something at the laptop or the computer or the TV by which you watch. But the truth of the matter is, those that we put in power let us down and left 4 Americans bloodied and on the ground in Benghazi. And by the way, they want you to vote for the one that made it happen. A friend of mine told me, always be brave. I promise you I always will. When we come back tomorrow night, I'll tell you about Declaration of Financial Independence Day, which will be July the 6th. On our program, we'll talk about that in great detail. But I want you to know, God has blessed America. It's now time for America to bless God. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Media, Ustream Livestream, and Red Nation Rising. God bless you. And God bless America.